FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Today's show is brought to you by Blue Sky Uranium Corporation. Blue Sky has first mover advantage in Argentina in the world's newest uranium and vanadium district. With an existing near-surface deposit that's open for expansion, Blue Sky also controls a massive district-scale land package with mineralization along a 145-kilometer-long trend. Blue Sky possesses tremendous exploration upside and is an excellent leveraged play on rising uranium and vanadium prices. The company is run by a best-in-class management and technical team with proven exploration and development success in Argentina. Blue Sky Uranium trades under the ticker symbol BSK on the Toronto Venture Exchange and as BKUCF on the OTC. For more information and to stay on top of the latest news, go to blueskyuranium.com. That's blueskyuranium.com.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. It's 4/16/19, the day after tax day. Hope you've fully recovered from writing that big check. You know that taxes are your largest expense, barring none. Housing, cars, all of that stuff, food, pales by comparison to how much you pay in taxes. So think about that when you're deciding where to move next time. One of the best things you can do to increase your standard of living is move to a tax-free state. We've also got a tax strategy here. I know I've got a couple of emails from you waiting to be responded to, but a tax strategy that if you're a high-income earner, if you've come into a windfall, won the lottery, you're making a lot of money, this strategy can really minimize your taxes and perhaps even eliminate them with totally legal, compliant, in accordance with the law. The last tax bill that was passed by Trump opened up a tremendous loophole. You just need to know how to take advantage of it, and we know how to do it. So anyways, when we think about housing, well, I don't usually think about millennials because I usually assume that if you're a millennial, you're still living in your parents' attic or basement. Obviously, if you live in Florida, it would have to be the attic because we don't have basements here. But if you're living where our good friend Captain Capitalism, also known as Aaron Clarey, lives, then you probably have a basement and an attic, which doubles your housing choices. Aaron, it's great to have you back on.
How you doing, Kerry?
All right. So you recently shared with me that you've sold your house. And
sold my house, yes.
Yeah, and you're a renter for the first time in over a decade. And it's
2 decades.
2 decades.
20 years.
Oh, my
20
God.
years, man.
2 decades. So it's opened up your eyes to what's to a whole new world of living and millennial housing woes, which I mean, look, I've got 3 millennials, but my kids are successful and they more or less live where they want to live. Although I wouldn't live there in Manhattan, my daughters, and my son lives in Texas, which would be more of my preference, tax-free Texas, they call it. Mm. But you've really had an epiphany, haven't you?
Yeah, I wasn't, to give you the background, I got a full offer on my house. I've been meaning to get out of Minnesota, as per what you were saying beforehand, to escape to South Dakota. So I'm going to build out there with the proceeds. And the town I live in is, I guess, a hot market, and somebody really wanted my house. I'm like, you can really have it because we just elected in a bunch of socialists, and I will leave very happily. But the interim plan is the girl I'm dating, she has a great career, and so we're not going to leave Minnesota just yet. So now we have to go rent. So we got an apartment near where she lives. And I have been thrusted back into the rental market world for the first time in 20 years, since 1999 is when I bought my first house.
Yeesh.
I was 24. And I remember before that house, my rent for a studio apartment in downtown Minneapolis, in a pretty nice area, was $333 a month and no utilities. I didn't have to pay any utilities. And so we go looking for housing, and there's certain logistical issues that have to be accounted for. And the best apartment we could find that was affordable. This is a very good deal. It's for a very small 1-bedroom apartment. It's not in a hot part of town or anything like that. It's very functional and practical, and it's brand new. It is $1,350 a month for a small 1-bedroom.
Sounds pretty good. Hey, my first apartment in New York City was a cut up railroad flat. It was a pit. I mean, it was disgusting in every sense of the word. And I was paying $235 per month, which was really too much for the dump. But it was right by the village. It was a great place to be a dumb kid who doesn't care about hygiene, well, personal hygiene, but cleanliness of your dwelling. And so, you know, housing prices have gone up a little bit, huh?
Yeah, just a tad, I'd say. But it really throws into this interesting world of people are always focused on how much their house has gone up in value, and I can sell my house. And what I've realized is, okay, yeah, you can sell your house, but now you still have to find a place to live. And we can always brag. I mean, you know, folks say, "Oh, we paid $80,000 for this house in 1980 something or other. Now we sold it for $400,000." But yeah, now you got to go buy another $400,000 house. So there's really none of this actual. I know there is a monetary, a numerical capital gain, but there's not really this gain in your standard of living, because you either got to rent, in which case the rental rates have gone through the roof, or you got to buy, and housing prices have also gone through the roof. So there's really no increase in purchasing power or anything like that. So you get this wallop of cash that you simply have to redeploy either in one lump sum to build a house or buy a house, or you have to amortize it at egregious rental rates over the course of the rest of your life. So I know a lot of people look at their housing wealth, but it really isn't there unless you're on the verge of death and you're about to kick the bucket and you're gonna downsize into a little 1-bedroom cottage or something like that.
Yeah. It's that's really kind of what it is. And you know, there are expensive markets, and look, of course, the millennials are not in the home ownership frame of mind. They went through many of you millennials out there went through the trauma of watching your parents, your childhood home be foreclosed upon, and you're not anxious to buy. You don't really understand home ownership, and really, so that leads you to rent. And I'm not saying that rental is bad. There's a lot of markets, Aaron, where you can actually rent cheaper than you can own. There's other markets where you can own cheaper than you can rent, and you don't need much of a down payment. So it's a lack of understanding. And this is a financial literacy month too, by the way. So maybe it's time for these millennials to get a little dose of financial education, right?
Well, I'll tell you this. In the Twin Cities, it's one of those rare markets, although it's increasingly more and more markets this way, where it is now cheaper to buy than to rent. I had the opportunity to buy an $80,000 condo across the river. Not the greatest part of town, but, you know, for me, you know, I'm okay. You know, I could survive and live there. But what's interesting, and I actually feel bad for the millennials ones, because they are just pigeonholed into the point that home ownership really isn't an option for them unless it's absolutely dirt cheap. They got a ton of student loan problems. Their credit's probably shot if they haven't kept up on it, which many of them haven't because they don't understand compound interest, let alone what a loan is. It's other people's money that would like it returned. They don't get that concept, right? They've never really got into home ownership. There was that article not too long ago, maybe a month ago, where the number one regret was the maintenance of houses. Like, yeah, properties need to be maintained.
Oh, really? Are you sure about that?
Siding doesn't side itself, apparently. And so now I'm running into this world. They're all renting right now, either because they can't qualify for the financing. They don't want to own a home. As you said, a lot of them are just living at home and just still getting out of debt well into their 30s. So there's this lackluster demand for housing. So where are they all now? Now they're in the rental markets. And I don't know if it's the same where you are, because I think Florida and Minnesota are probably a little bit different in more ways than one. But we have had nothing but a boom in luxury apartment buildings.
Oh, yes, for here.
Going up.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Florida, are you kidding me? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What?
Big time.
Yeah, and so now I've been used to living like your railroad flat over there in New York. I've lived in basements for most of my life. You know, I get these dumpy 1-bedroom apartments, sometimes just renting rooms, sleeping on a guy's couch. So because of the logistics I was talking about before, we're very close to where the GF works. And it just happens because she works so far out of the city that there's nothing but this new development and construction. So now I am going to be moving into this epitomal luxury millennial apartment building. And Carrie, holy cow, these kids are so pampered. There's 2 gyms. There's 2? A game room. There's a
theater, probably a theater to watch.
Yeah, there's
movies.
A theater. Yeah.
So you have a 2 square foot apartment because you get all these amenities. They put all the money into the amenities, the public areas, and then the units are usually garbage, right?
Well, yeah. Well, the unit's real fun. This is going to be the nicest place I've ever lived in. It's very small, but my overhead, you guys are complaining about why rental rates are so high. Well, maybe it's the outdoor kitchen you have, or the luxury dining area you have, or the pool. Like, I don't need a pool. I don't need a pool. The gym I go to has a pool. I don't need a pool. Well, apparently every development we looked at had a pool and all these amenities. And you walk in, it's like this almost new culture thing. You walk into the rental office, and they have very good-looking people, very professional and good-looking people up there at the office, Carrie, almost as good-looking as you and me to sell this. And they say, let us show you the amenities. And me and the GF were like, we don't care about the amenities. We care about location and price. You know, that's
wrong answer.
What's the apartment look like?
Answer. Totally the wrong answer. You know, you need to care about this. Well, I will admit to you that I do like amenities. Like in my complex here, we've got a really great gym, and it's just really nice. And I wouldn't trade it. We got a big pool, but in Florida, these things are important, and I work out all the time. And to be able to walk down the street is a nice thing, but I'm not in a millennial milieu, if you will, or mania. I'm in a Gen Xer / boomer community, and you know, priorities are different. I want a nice place. I got to have a studio, but millennials will work out of a closet. Actually, millennials tend to work out of Starbucks when they don't have offices, right? Because they have Wi-Fi at Starbucks. That's the way millennials work, right?
Right. Well, and there's another kind of eerie feel because everyone's all like so happy and chirpy and good looking, and they can't wait for you to join this community. And then they start talking community. And then they start talking about, well, we have like social gatherings and this and that. It's like, no, you don't understand. I have a social life already.
Yeah.
I don't want to meet anybody. Matter of fact, I don't want my name on the roster. I'm here to sleep and maybe do a little bit of work and then leave. And so it's just a different world where not only are these expectations on the part of millennial generation. I'm sure there's some boomers and Gen Xers and Gen Zers at this apartment building as well. But the main demographic is Gen Xers. But you can just see how their lives are so different. There's now, thankfully, like you in your association there, I never have to shovel or mow or anything again. So I'm very much looking forward to that. I don't have to cut wood for the wood burning stove. I can finally give up my gym membership because there's a gym at this place. So there are some conveniences I understand, but the emphasis on the game room, the indoor kitchen, the outdoor kitchen, the community center, the this, the that, and the fact that they have like these social activities, it's like, didn't you all get friends in college? Didn't you develop your own friends? And I don't know if they've ever left outside of the house to play because it's all right there for them.
Yeah, very true.
And then it shows up in the price where if you got rid of all these amenities that you truly don't need, I guarantee you the rent would go down below $1,000 a month. But they, for whatever reason, they need these centers. There's a business center there. I mean, these are all wonderful amenities. I'm not complaining at all. We're paying for them. I fully intend on availing myself of them. But it really makes me wonder, like, what kind of quality of life are you living in terms of a human, social, even a financial? There's no way they're saving money. I mean, we got the dirt cheap price at $1,300. There's no way a 27-year-old Tanner and his girlfriend Madison, with their student loan debts and the recently leased vehicle, paying $1,600 a month for a small 2-bedroom. they're not going to make any financial progress. There's just no way. There's this many young kids out there today making six figures or more, which I would estimate you have to actually make to afford one of these egregiously priced apartments. And I'm afraid they're going to turn out even worse than the baby boomers when it comes to retirement preparedness.
Right. I think you're right. The baby boomers actually knew better. They just didn't do anything about it. I think a lot of the millennials, they're young, right? What's the oldest millennial? Just hitting 40. And the furthest thing from their mind is one day they're going to retire and somebody isn't going to be taking care of you.
Mm-hmm. Well, and even worse is they estimate now around 2 decades to pay off your student loans. Heck, I got Gen X friends that still have student loans from the 90s. And the millennials are not, and let's just admit, I know this generational talk, people thinks it's somewhat bigoted or ageist. I mean, every generation is guilty of this. Based on my latest estimates, only a third of baby boomers are adequately financed and prepared for retirement. Gen Xers are no different. But I'm looking at the millennial generation and their finances, and just coming right out of the gate, they were so disadvantaged with their student loans, and they still are burdened by those student loans. They are not helping themselves with this addiction to prestige or status, and having and all these. I don't know if it's the same in Florida, but all these apartment buildings have a title. It's not just 468 25th Avenue North. It's not that. It's the Belmont or the Corregidor. Or the Lutz. It's like, oh, we live in the luxurious Lutz. Oh, the Lutz, eh? It's very high price. And it's like, yeah, but you have no money. You have no savings. You have no IRA. And I just wonder if this generation is going to be the perpetual rent and lease generation, and they're going to have no assets, nothing, no house, no assets, no nothing to show for it.
Yeah, it's very true. It's sad, but maybe they'll become aware. I always say the millennial generation is the next greatest generation. You think I'm wrong about that?
You're completely wrong. The reason they're not, I think there's that saying, hard times create hard men create good times, good times create weak men create hard times, and it repeats itself. Yeah. That cycle has been broken because of one thing and one thing only. That's the United States has the world's reserve currency. Right. Which basically allows us to print ourselves out of any financial situation we want. We can't go super crazy, but look at what Obama did. He quadrupled, he certainly tripled the money supply, monetary base. We had perpetually low credit. And what I always got a kick out of with the latest financial crisis is it was caused by the United States. But in the medium to long term, where did everybody rush to put their money for a safety net?
In dollar denominated assets in the United States of America. Insane, right. Isn't it?
I mean, and the reason why is that every other country out there that could potentially pose the threat of an alternative world currency, China, Russia, BRIC countries, they're talking about it. They're so what? Go ahead.
They're in worse shape than we are, right?
They're in worse shape and more corrupt.
Yeah, if that's possible.
And so that's great. Hey, we got the magic currency. We can print ourselves. I have a feeling we're going to bail out the students like we did the banksters.
Of course. Yeah, we're going to. The government is like God. All sins are quickly forgiven and forgotten. Yep. Right?
Yep. It's the Jesus Christ of the Fed. All sins will be forgiven through the Federal Reserve. But what it basically results in is a perpetual good times, or maybe not booming good times, but perpetual easy times resulting in perpetual weak people. And so the millennials we're not going to have this great depression crisis. The millennials, who the older ones, they do remember the Great Recession. What happened? We bailed everybody out. We just printed more money. Oh, sure, things were bad, but you're old enough to remember the Volcker recession. Things weren't that bad. I remember things being much worse back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to go. No one is actually going to tighten their belts. People are just going to get more and more obese and lazy and slothful and gluttonous. And we're just going to have perpetually weak people. It won't be until we lose nuclear power or there's another, Russia actually has some kind of economic boom and becomes less corrupt. I think in our lifetime, it's good news. I think our Social Security checks will actually have purchasing power to them. But we're not going to see the general patterns and the Humphrey Bogarts and the Gregory
Gables.
Pecks and the Robert Mitchums coming out of the millennial generation here anytime soon. So they're going to have their lattes. They're going to have their avocado and toast. They're going to have their spas and their luxury pools. They're going to pay their $1,700 a month rent. And they're not going to have a 401k or IRA. And that's all right. You know why? Because we'll just print off more money from the live in the government nursing home.
Yeah. And they'll be eating government cheese and government pizza, right?
Well, government avocado and toast. That's what we'll probably be done.
Well, no, we're not going to have avocados anymore, Aaron, because we're going to shut the border with Mexico, and we only have a 3-week supply of avocados, and that's the end of the millennial generation right there.
We'll just die on the vine.
Yeah, like, come on. It's they're not real practical. That's the problem with a lot of millennials. And I got to say, not all. My kids are totally the antithesis of everything we've been describing. They're responsible. They're solvent, well educated, have good careers and all that. But I'm just worried that what's going to save them from you think we have it bad now, but what happens when, Social Security is just finished, dried up? Do they just keep printing this thing, Aaron? I mean,
yeah, they will. Yeah. As long as, we can't go overboard. And one of these days I'll have to dust off my rusty economic skills and calculate what is the maximum amount we could print off without triggering inflation within the economy. Now, one would make the argument, it's not the argument, it's true that we already have caused inflation in anything that you borrow money for: healthcare, tuition, and housing. And which consequently drives up rents as well. So there is inflation in there. But when it comes to consumables, and as long as I guess you want to do a renter's paradise or something like that, I think we could print off a fair amount money more, as long as the rest of the world remains more corrupt and we remain the largest, or if not close to the largest economy in the world. In one sense, it's lucky. Look at the luxurious, pampered life the millennials have. It's truly Roman. They live in these. I almost feel guilty moving into this apartment. I won't lie to you, Carrie. I'm kind of like, I don't deserve that. Everything's new and it's got that gray palette and it's got the shingles that, it's very nice, very posh. And I'm thinking like, this is egregious. This is gluttonous. I do have the crappiest car in the parking lot, though. I do know that. So when I park that, I'm going to scare all the millennial kids with my bought and paid for cash truck.
Yeah.
But I think this is the benefits of having the greatest generation and the world's largest economy and the legacy that our American forefathers left us. We are still the most powerful military economy in the world. We're relatively uncorrupt. Yes, the Swedes and the Canadians are all the goody two-shoes teacher's pet, and they get the highest scores from the UN, but they don't have the reserves or the economic production to back up a world reserve currency. So we're kind of living the best world ever, where we really don't have to pay for it. The taxation level that we have, about, depending on the deficit, anywhere between 3 to 10% we don't pay for. We just print that off and kick the can down the road into the future. So we're enjoying high levels of government spending, relatively low levels of taxation, and I believe, I'm so optimistic about this, I believe Gen X, their Social Security checks will not only come in the mail, but they will have purchasing power. And the millennials get to live this very luxurious life of never really working a job, never really suffering. They go to school for, so far, 85 to 90% of their lives, and then maybe they go work some barista job, and somehow they're able to live. Somehow this keeps going. So if you look at it, it's a very easy life that they think it's horrible. They think they've been so screwed and oh my gosh, it's horrible. I have to be a barista. It's like, yeah, have you ever laid sod? You ever put in a retaining wall? But then they get to live in these palatial apartments. They have everything handed to them. They think nothing of dropping $5 on a latte. Yeah. It's a very, very pampered and good life, but it will come to an end. The United States can't print off money forever. But it's a millennial's life, man. It's a millennial's life to see what unlimited government printing presses can do, as long as you get the world's reserve currency. And it's very posh, but it's not long-term sustainable at all.
Yeah, well, I don't doubt that you're correct here. but things often don't turn out the way that you're expecting. And a lot of things can happen here before all is said and done. So let's not forget that.
No, that's right. That's why didn't gold or silver hit a low or something recently? I mean, it may be time to pick up a little bit more precious metals, or maybe even cryptocurrency or something.
Absolutely. You can never go wrong with that. But the point is, we've been in these situations before, and we'll be in them again. And really, the government's not your friend. They're not helping you. They're really harming you. And that's what you really need to consider here, Really.
Well, I just wish the millennials were more educated on economics, because what we're really playing here is hot potato. Because I thought my generation was going to be landed square with the bill to pay for Social Security,
we were hoping,
Medicaid, all the socialist spending.
As a baby boomer, we were fully intending to stick your generation with the tab. But, it looks like we're going to live, so it'll be multiple generations that get stuck with our tab, right?
Well, maybe not. Maybe, it could be Gen Z. What I'm waiting for is the spark that actually causes the crisis. Now, I thought that was going to be the housing bubble in 2008. I thought, here it is. Here's the comeuppance. Here's the time to pay the piper. And we just printed ourselves out of that.
Hey, print and pray. That's the name of the game here, Aaron. You know that.
That's the name of the game. But unlike Venezuela, nobody wants our worthless, what do they got? Bolivars. What's
the
Bolivars?
Bolivar.
Yeah. Nobody wants stinking Bolivars. Everybody wants the U.S. dollar. You know what? If that's fine, okay. If we could keep I just want to keep this game up for another 30 years, Kerry, because you know what happens in 30 years?
You retire, right?
I'm dead. No, not ready. I can't get to retirement.
You're on the Smith & Wesson retirement plan. I forgot about that.
Right. But I'd like to have as much fun as possible. So if the millennials can keep working, we could keep this, world reserve currency printing press going on. We could keep the lights on. Everybody can have their avocado. We'll have an entire GDP based on master's degrees, luxury apartments, and avocado and toast, and leased vehicles. That will be the whole new GDP of the United States. If we can keep that facade going up until I'm dead, okay, then you guys can actually have the comeuppance and the financial crisis after. But it could very well be, and what's so sad and tragic is it's because of the rest of the world. The rest of the world is that screwed up that we are allowed to do this, that the millennials are allowed to live this luxury. I get to live in this luxury apartment. And no one actually has to pay for what they consume. It's just a bizarro economy. And I know for people who are fiscally austere, people who like to support themselves, people who are just simply realists, it's like, when is this going to end? This cannot go on forever. I don't know. It could keep going on for a while. I just hope it goes on for 30 more years.
Okay, I'm hopeful too, but things have a way of evening out. Anyway, hey, how's A-Hole Consulting doing, by the way?
I had my best year after we did the taxes. I had my best day 4 or 5 days ago, and then sales are up about a third this quarter. It's so good that I'm not able to really write and do other stuff. So I'm kind of upset because it's starting to take more and more of my time, which is great. I've jacked up my prices and business is booming. But it's starting now. It's almost like I'm a full grown adult, Kerry. I'm working like 40 hours a week when you throw it all in. And it's becoming a real job now. So It's great. I'd rather have that than ever go work in banking ever again. But it's becoming a serious, beforehand, beer money. And then like, hey, a little bit more than beer money. Now it's like, well, this is a lot more than beer money, which is great. But now the book I wanted to write, I have to postpone that because there's too much work. Plus I'm also moving. So there is that. But yeah, it's almost like I've become an adult again and I have a 40-hour-a-week job. And there's no worse 4-letter word than the word job.
I agree. I couldn't agree with you more. So anyways, hey, go check out Aaron's work over at captaincapitalism.blogspot.com and make sure you send us an email if you're interested. If something point got raised that really brought something to light for you, we'd love to hear about it. KL@kerrylutz.com is the email address, and the Twitter feed's at Kerry Lutz, the Facebook page Financial Survival Network. Of course, however you're watching this show, please subscribe, share, and like. Really helps me a lot when you do that. And it really helps get the message out to those of you out there who really need to hear what people like Aaron Clarey are saying. Aaron, we'll talk to you again real soon. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me on, Kerry.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.